So Simon, if we know much more about the human brain today, how as salespeople can we ensure that we match the way the brain might buy to the way that we sell?
Yeah, and I think at a fundamental level, even if you take neuroscience out of the equation for a moment, a common problem that I see a lot with our clients is that they have a sales process that almost seems to exist in isolation of what the customer's doing, and we're thinking of selling to the customer. Whereas I think the shift should be understanding the customer's buying process, understand the process the customer goes through so that you can provide the customer with what's most useful and most needed as they move through their buying process, not through your sales process. I mean, in B2B sales now, for example, the latest research is showing that customers are about 57–60% of the way through their buying process before they even want to interact with someone from sales. So, you know, the world has changed. But from a brain-friendly selling point of view, you need to understand where the customer is at each stage so you can provide them with what they need. And so you're not appearing, for example, pushy at any stage of the process. You're aware of what they need, you're giving it to them, you're ahead of where they are so that you can be proactively managing what you're doing with them to ease them through their buying process and help them to make a really good decision, which we hope is going to be, you know, to make use of your products and services.
So what are the keys? As a salesperson, you're meeting a customer perhaps for the first time, or prospect for the first time. What are the keys with what we know about the way the brain works today? Where's the starting points for a salesperson?
A primary driver in the more primitive parts of the brain is to move away from danger, primarily first from a survival point of view, and then move towards pleasure. And those two motivating forces, stay away from pain and move towards a reward, are fundamental motivational drivers of all human behavior. So a really powerful way to start an early conversation is, what problems and challenges does the customer have that they want to move away from? What's the impact on their business or themselves as an individual if you're business to consumer? And how can you help them move from this place of discomfort or dissatisfaction to a place of satisfaction, comfort, happiness, etc. by solving their problems? So I would really encourage all salespeople to dig deep into customers' problems. What problems have they got? What's the impact of those problems? If they don't sort that problem out, what's going to happen in the longer term? Get that away from motivation built up, and then talk to them about what a good solution might look like, what are the results they'd like to get, what are the impact of those results, and then you've got those two powerful forces powering, motivating the customer to make that buying decision.
And at what point is it the salesperson's job to uncover those problems? And to what extent does a salesperson have to make a customer or a prospect aware of those problems?
Yeah, that's a great question, because there's sometimes a customer will understand they have a problem. It's what I call a negative problem. You know, there's your standard of performance. Here's what you've got now. You know, for example, your car's doesn't start in the morning. You know I've got a problem. I need a new car. But there's also what I call a positive problem, is where you maybe show the customer some better solution they weren't aware of, and then that creates that tension that they want to do it. But I would say very, very early on, because you've got to almost, if you can, trigger the buying process. The ideal thing is to be right at the start of the customer's buying process and actually be the initiator of that buying process. That gives you the maximum influence and control over what happens.